The following podcast, while not necessarily containing 100% truth in regards to its primary subject matter, may at the very least be considered 63% entertaining, 12% sarcastic, 23% truthful, and 2% erotic. The most important takeaway from this audio experience is that each of the individual, highly enthusiastic, and seemingly intelligent host companions are at the very least convinced that while some information contained within may be inaccurate, they are 82% sure that where they are inaccurate, there is a 93% chance that they will be definitively inaccurate. If, like myself, you find an error or 10 in some of today's subject matter and you feel overwhelmingly compelled by the need to correct someone online, that so many of you do, please know that with 100% sincerity, the esteemed members of the Say Report would like you to kindly go outside and touch grass.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, but I gotta...
Fuck it. Whatever, we're using it. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Say Report. It's a time capsule episode of the Say Report. We can go over what that means in a bit. I'm Devon Decker. He's Sejohn Sarawik. How you doing, Sejohn? Say something now.
Okay, now that I'm saying things. Hello, everybody. Clearly professional and prepared for this evening, are we?
Oh, clearly prepared are we for this evening of professionalism? High as a tauntaun's balls I am. Not me, actually. I am not altered or transformed in any way, shape, or form. Why the fuck would he say it like that? Hi, everybody. Welcome to a time capsule episode of the Say Report. Again, we'll go over what that means in a second. The most important thing as we start this episode is that it was recorded on the night of Wednesday, March 11th, 2026. This whole episode, the plot, the theme, whatever the fuck we're doing, is inspired by a conversation that we had on the latest episode we recorded, which would have been on the 8th of March, titled Not to Reconcile, but to Recognize. It was a good conversation, but in that conversation, while I talked about a topic I have a vast amount of knowledge on, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I haphazardly threw in a reference to Transformers and all of the lore that exists regarding the Transformers, and
right, yeah.
and immediately finishing that episode, I said to Sejohn we should record another time capsule episode just so we have some banked, because like we've been known to be caught with our dicks in our proverbial hands, our proverbial dicks in our proverbial hands. I guess it's a metaphor, you see. So when I asked Sejohn what, like, I'm like, oh, we could do like another Tom Arnold movie.
If you jerk off with your proverbial hand, is that the stranger?
That's called the third man. I wish I had a...
Sorry, you were on a roll. I'm so sorry.
You know what, though? Because I was on a roll, I nailed that reference to an Orson Welles movie that is primarily known for its zither music. And guess what? Orson Welles is going to come up at some point in this episode. So it kind of works. Anywho, so Sejohn was like, well, yeah, we could do a Tom Arnold movie. We could do a Paul Rubens movie. We could do something else. But why don't we do something a little bit different, Devon? And I'm like, all right, Sejohn, I'm game. What you got? And he's like, let's get real altered and you school me and the listeners on the Old Testament of the Transformers lore. And I'm always one for a challenge. So I said game fucking on. Now, the problem is that my knowledge of this lore comes from the Unicron trilogy, which is Transformers Armada, Transformers Energon, and then Transformers Unicron. Those are shows that actually premiered while I was watching like Transformers, because
okay, all right.
The most important person in this whole episode, right? It's not Sejohn or I, and it's not going to be Sejohn or I this episode. It's Simon Furman, who is the person he was a writer at Marvel Comics who was responsible for the Transformers comic book, and he is the progenitor of everything that we're going to talk about that was eventually folded into the cartoon continuity and given a real spotlight in Armada, Energon, and Unicron, hereafter referred to as the Unicron trilogy. And that is what
here I need to do a timeout for 1 second for clarification.
Yeah.
When you talk about these 3 arcs, essentially, are we talking about like a year's worth, or are we talking about 10 years worth of lore? Like, what is that time frame on those?
Okay,
like what are we looking at for
so that? Simon Furman first introduced the backstory behind Primus in a 1988 UK story. So this wasn't even released in America. This was a UK published issue of the Transformers comic.
Were Transformers really big in the UK? That's awesome. I never considered that.
It's like a whole actually one of the SDCC exclusives from Hasbro this past year was of Death's Head, who is primarily from the comics and has a much bigger following in the United Kingdom. So that's the thing to note. But yeah, so 1988 is how far this goes back. And then the Unicron trilogy, let's see, when does the Unicron trilogy start? The Unicron trilogy of Armada, Energon, and Cybertron, is 2002 through 2000. That's the Dreamwave. That's the comics. We want the cartoons. 2002 through 2006. Is what most of my information is based on. And now, which also I'm kind of an asshole. The final one is called Cybertron. It's Transformers Armada, Transformers Energon, Transformers Cybertron. Those 3 series, because they are different series, mostly so that Hasbro has an excuse to sell more toys.
Right, G.I. Joe did the same thing, right? Like, oh yeah, let's see what these Joes are doing.
Yeah, exactly. So that you already have Armada Optimus Prime. Now you need Energon Optimus Prime, and the primary reason why
I want Beach Day Optimus Prime.
Beach Day Optimus Prime has been discontinued in America because people were bothered by his bikini. He's clearly a boy robot. So the reason why I really got involved in Armada, Energon, and Cybertron is at the time I was approached to play Optimus Prime in a short film called Primetime 2. And at this time, we're going to pause the recording, and if you're a listener at home, this will be in the supplemental materials section in our Discord, so that you can watch along as well. I'm going to have Sejohn watch this roughly 9-minute video of me playing Optimus Prime. So we will see you on the other side of that.
I am so far gone, it's going to look like it's been directed by Christopher Nolan. What are we doing?
Brother, that's kind of the point. You'd realize that, like, you fuck me over with, like, you're gonna school me on the material that you're not 100% on. I make you watch a stop-motion animated film where I'm the voice of Optimus fucking Prime. Okay? That's just, them's the breaks, bro. So we're gonna pause right now for CJ to watch this video, and then no time will pass for you, and we'll be right back. And we're back! How are you feeling, Sejohn, after experiencing all of that?
I mean, honestly, a part of me is angry that this is the first time in our friendship that I have come to this. Like, where has this been, Devon? I feel like you've been hiding a piece of yourself.
You never knew about Primetime 2?
Somewhere in my brain, like, some of this was, like, ringing a bell, but, like, I wouldn't ever have recalled it. Like, this is not anything that I have, like, any deep knowledge about. I mean, because, to be entirely honest, it is somewhere between watching, like, an old episode of Gumby and some honest-to-goodness weird shit on Adult Swim. Like, it is not poorly made, especially for what year was this?
That was 2005, I believe that one released. Possibly.
I mean, that's freaking nuts.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, what you need to understand about Eyes on Animation.
Early days of the internet. This is
pre-YouTube.
Internet.
It was pre-YouTube. 100%.
Yeah, but this is like passed around type shit, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And it all stems from, and that's a sequel to Primetime, where Zach just alone destroyed his Armada Prime toy because he thought it was a bad toy, and then everyone was like, "When are you going to destroy the Energon toy? It's terrible. It's this terrible toy." Now, like I'd been working with Walt and Zach since like when we were in high school. Right, because Walt had gone to a different school that had a vocational program for television production. So, like, we called it Milton 13 after they both delivered pizzas, and 13 Milton something, right? I don't want to dox whoever lives there now or whoever lived there then. When he delivered a pizza there, 2 women came to the door topless. We've never been able to verify that story. Just for the record.
Oh man, we're going real blue this episode, and I love it. But I mean, we had to because I need to know.
But yeah, so you didn't know
dirty shit.
So this is the stuff. Like we would make stupid videos on the weekends, and then college happened, and we all kind of went our separate ways. And then Primetime 2 was coming up, and they're like, "We'd like you to do the voice of Energon Prime." So I'm like, I don't know anything about this character. What do you need from me? And they're like, just kind of be yourself. Your normal Devon Decker bravado, that should be pretty good for this character. And that's
just be you. Just the best note you could ever get.
So we had and actually the statute of limitations on like what would be called fraud. Is there one? I'm going to Google statute of limitations on fraud. That's something I'm typing into Google right now. Of limitations on fraud. I should probably add in Rhode Island.
At first, you had my interest. Like.
Fraud actions have a 10-year limit, according to the AI overview. The statute of limitations for other criminal offenses shall be 3 years. I think I'm in the clear to tell this story. So because of Primetime 2 only exists because
some lawyer listener out there just had a fucking heart attack. Anyway, sorry.
No, I mean, like, first of all, well, when I tell the whole story, I think things are going to be okay. And also, I promise to all those people out there, like, when are they going to get to the fireworks factory? I am going to embarrass myself talking about the lore of Transformers is going to happen. It's just going to take this preamble is necessary. So in the wake of Primetime 2's success, like the Transformers movie directed by Michael Bay came out, and the Optimus Prime toy that came out for that movie was another steaming pile of garbage. That's like straight up. I had it in the house. I think I sold it through one of my. I had a lot of Transformers toys.
I need you to be very clear right now.
Yeah.
You made it almost sound like Michael Bay made a Transformers movie because of this.
No. This got more eyes on it because of the Transformers movie. And,
I see what you're saying.
And on the, I believe, and on one of the Transformers chat boards, I think Bot Talk was the name of it.
Him just fucking sitting at a fucking. I imagine that his office is just a cavern, like just this huge room with just a little desk that he just sits at with just this old ass computer where he watches old ass internet videos, laughing his ass off at this, and then going, "Fuck it, I gotta make one."
I gotta make it. I need to get this.
I need to put balls in mine, though.
My favorite part about this world that you've just created is that I like that. Like Michael Bay's just like, oh, Devon Decker likes it. I should buy the Ninja Turtles license and make 2 Ninja Turtles movies. Oh, Devon Decker signs off on it. I gotta. He is. If I were the prophet, the muse to Michael Bay for every movie that he's ever made, that would be incredible.
I think you're more like the Bugs Bunny to his Elmer Fudd. Like he's doing things to try and piss you off, and you actually just keep enjoying them while everybody else hates it.
That, you know what? I both scenarios work for me and my massive ego. but yeah, so so that it gets a lot of eyes on it because of the movie coming out. Like, people are interested in Transformers stuff, and Upload finally goes on YouTube, and on the message boards, the same sort of fervor for when are you going to do a sequel to Primetime started with when are you going to do Primetime 3. And now that there was this weird expectation after a Michael Bay Transformers movie had had released, we put our all into making Primetime 3. Like, it had a for real script and all of these other things. Primetime 3 never happened. Primetime 3 will probably never happen. Halo 3, Half-Life 3, and Primetime 3. It's crazy that a product that my name is attached to is in the same pantheon of never gonna fucking happen as something like Half-Life 3. And, like, people on the internet who only know my name from that video you just watched are, like, sad about it. Like,
hey, I gotta tell you right now, man, if it's possible, I'm always down to maybe do a reading. Just saying.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. There's some other
if a script exists and, like, we haven't pissed off everybody related to it.
Yeah, see, that pissed off people related to it is partially one of the other reasons why this project was shuttered. I mean, like, we had hired somebody to build, like, a for real set, like, to construct the whole like Teletran 1 sort of arc area where all of the primes were gathering. And the primary, and this is, I'm sharing this story here. What the hell? I'm already talking about it. This is like, remember, like, BotCon? Like, there used to be, like, a Transformers convention called BotCon. I don't know if it still exists or not. But it came to Rhode Island.
They did it in Providence because of
the
Hasbro,
movie,
right?
Yeah. They didn't always do it in Providence, but in 2007, BotCon corresponded with the release of the Transformers movie. That night that
oh my god!
Yeah,
we know the lady that printed all of the shit for them. Do you remember this?
Yes, I do. I
do. I just remembered. Yes. Oh my god. Yeah, it was such a big thing because they were going to do the premiere in Providence at the Providence Place Mall. Yeah, man. Holy shit.
I mean, I was at that premiere.
This is, that's like, unlocking memories for me.
That's when I met Tyrese Gibson. That's why Tyrese Gibson saved my life when I fell off the shelf at the Newbury Comics, was the premiere of Transformers. And then he sat next to me. He's like, yo, can I grab that seat? And then I sat next to Tyrese Gibson to watch the Transformers movie, the 2007 Transformers movie. And then, like crazy of crazies, we went to BotCon that weekend, and in addition to being the guy who opened Optimus Prime's door, because they had the set used Optimus Prime in truck form, like, in the convention center, and I'm like, there's no way this is unlocked, right? And I pulled the handle and the door opened, and I gotta tell you, security just came out of everywhere. It was like the craziest fucking thing. And they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I wanted to see if the door was unlocked, and the door was unlocked.
Oh my god.
I have to be honest, that's on somebody else who should have locked the door. Right?
Man, I'm glad you're harmless, because sometimes...
And then also, like, at that convention, people who recognized me for being the guy from Primetime 2. Like, craziest weekends of my life. This is what we're talking about. But yeah, so Primetime 3 never happened, but the opening scene was directly ripped from the Transformers movie released in 1986, where Megatron's, like, discarded body is found by Unicron. Here, Unicron being Michael Bay, like, we were going to have a big Michael Bay fake, like, head in space that was going to reformat the remains of Energon Prime into Movie Prime and then ship me out as an asteroid to head towards Earth. There was a lot of, like, we were ambitious, and our ambition was the failure. But our ambition also meant that we required money. We're getting back to the fraud, right? The statute of limitation fraud that I mentioned. And I don't know if you remember this, but URI used to have a yearly film festival. And it had, like, 6 different categories. and animation was one of those categories. So, and if you won, you'd get like $500. You'd get shown at the Rhode Island International Film Festival, so your eyes like would be on your stuff, and like you had the potential to like get picked up for other things. So when we're like trying to raise some money, I'm sitting there, I'm like, look, here's the deal. They had done another film that's still out there. I'm not sure where it is, but it's called Stickfa War and Pieces. So it used those like little Stickfa figures that they're in that primetime video. They act as like the director and things like that. Like they use Stickfas in it. They had created scripted. I was not involved in this in any way, shape, or form. I may have provided sound effects because like that laughter that's in Primetime 2 was just me losing my shit while the mic was rolling, and they used it as laughter in that film. So like they have stuff like that. So any involvement was purely like unintentional, because Stickfa War and Pieces was like a big thing where the tan army of Stickfas fought the green army of Stickfas, and then they had to join forces when a giant robot like was awoken on the battlefield. And the whole thing was made by Walt and Zach as a way to handle the fact that their friend Danny had like joined the army and was getting shipped over to Afghanistan. That's how they worked through their feelings. So we're sitting there like, we need money.
Hey man,
like, art. That's what art is for.
People think art is not political. Sorry, go.
Anyone who thinks art is not political doesn't understand why there's currently a war on art. That's going to be my response to that. But yeah, so they had made this thing and they just put it up on the internet. And I'm like, all right, well, we can make $500 because there's no way any animation that's entered into this film festival is going to be better than like, the thing was like 20 minutes long. Like they really poured their heart and soul into it. So I'm like, if we take it down offline right now, you re-edit it to say that I'm the director and we enter it into this film festival. So they agreed because like they knew the truth, but like it would get us $500 in our pocket. Like straight up, like, and I have to be completely honest with you. I did win that $500. I brought them up to accept the award and let them speak on it. And the guy in charge of the film festival was like, I'm really happy I got to meet the two guys who actually made this. He was fully aware of it. But now there's like a recording where I say that like, I defrauded our university. For art, Siege, and I did it for art.
Hey, man, no, look. The amount of times that they had my car towed, I mean, illegally, like, I was legal, they towed it illegally. Like, that's... fuck them.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, that's... I mean, though, we don't even need to talk about the master electrician situation in Devon Decker, right? Where I ran away from our theater department and focused on funny, talking, stop-motion films for a little bit. But yeah, so that's what we did. And then the funny thing about that is, so we got to show it at the Rhode Island International Film Festival, but the Courthouse Center for the Arts, they had caught in wind of the film. They had people at the festival when it was showed, and they're like, we'd really like to show this. We have a veterans, like to honor the Veterans Film Festival, and we'd like to include this and have you guys there as guests of honor. So for that one, I had them re-edit it so that they were the ones who got like the actual credit for it. You know, I was just a special producer on it at this point because I had, you know, I was doing producer work, right? I was getting distribution and stuff like that. But it was a really awkward night at the Courthouse Center for the Arts, where like this was the keynote film for a bunch of people who like served in Vietnam, like a much older like audience, because like at its heart, like the art of it was like trying to understand something that they just had no context for. It wasn't like poking fun at it. Like it really was talking about the horrors of war and using like what the medium that they understood how to work in to work through their feelings. And this is, and then they're like, now we'd like to invite them up to speak about it. And they were like stunned. Like they did not know what to say in front of what was a room of, again, like back to Vietnam veterans sitting in this room. So I basically delivered the speech that I just delivered here about how, you know, our friend was sent off to war. It was not something that we could do. Like, the army was not an option for us based on, like, various reasons why we were not, like, eligible to join, right? Like, physical reasons. Like, Zach is legally blind and things like this. So this is how we dealt with, like, this thing that was completely unknown to us. And they loved that. They, like, loved this idea of, like, people back home who, like trying to work through the feelings of that in the way that they had available to them. Yeah, and that story has now been told on digital tape. So hopefully no one comes to me for that $500. But again, I do stress that
you should fucking sue Larry David sometime.
Why? What should I sue Larry David for? Bum 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 ba da 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 da.
Oh,
yeah,
shit,
no, I understand.
man.
I get it. So yeah, but you do need to see Primetime too, because there are a lot of people out there who are somehow going to stumble upon this episode, whether it be that they saw me in Primetime 2 and then my name and Transformers are like their Google alert. So this episode releases called The One Where Devon Embarrasses Himself in Regard to Transformers is going to pop up, and they're going to listen, and they're going to be like, well, that, strictly speaking, that's not technically true about Primus. Like you're disregarding the 1988 UK story where he was introduced. And like, yeah, no, I am admitting that I am disregarding the UK story released when I was 2 years old that I was not aware of until this week, when I had to, like, frantically make sure that my knowledge about this topic was good. And with that full disclosure, what I am going to share with you is going to be primarily what I believe the story of Transformers is.
Okay. Here's the real. I'm not going to torture you just that much longer. I mean, I'm still going to make you tell me what the fuck is going on, because I got some questions.
Of course.
Because the only thing that you said to me, or the only thing that I had thrown in, I guess I should say, to do on my side, other than just like challenging you to like sweat for 2 days, but like I wanted to see Transformers 1. Right? That was the animated one that I just watched today.
Oh, man, to be able to watch that movie
with Chris Hemsworth doing the weirdest American accent.
All right, cards on the table. Disregard our 20 years of friendship. Who was the better Optimus Prime, me or Chris Hemsworth?
Jeez, oh man, I gotta tell you, who is the better Optimus Prime? You. That doesn't mean anything outside of the scope of the question is all I'm saying.
That's all I'm saying. Oh, yeah, you think I'm going to go out and buy a hammer that only I can lift, Sejohn? I'm crazy, but I'm not that crazy. No, I'm not that crazy. No, Chris Hemsworth he's a wonderful actor. I think he actually did a pretty good Orion Pax. I think that his Orion Pax is better than what I could do as Orion Pax. Like straight up. Like, I'll be honest about that. So you wanted to watch Transformers 1, and making me sweat for 2 days, as you so cogently put it, was a pretty good way to do that. Like a good excuse to watch the movie. So you've now watched Transformers 1. Yeah. Which, honestly,
I'm more confused than when I started.
I was gonna say, I'm like, I don't know how great that was for you in terms of things like Primus and his relationship to Unicron and the identities of the 13 Primes.
Okay, here we go. Now we're getting into it. All right, so here's the thing. I spent the entire movie trying to figure out, is he Optimus Prime? Is he going to become Optimus Prime? Is he Optimus Prime's kid? Is he just somebody else? I don't know. And then I realized that I was like missing story beats because I was so worried about trying to figure out this guy's lineage. I don't know. This movie is very pretty. There's a lot of really gorgeous shots in places that were like great. It's really soft, which is really wild. Like to say about the Transformers, I guess after so many years of Michael Bay, I'm used to them being like rusty and like, look like you need to get a tetanus shot every time you sit near one. Like these all felt like, toys I would actually want to have, to be honest.
It's a real shame that most of the toys for this movie are kind of garbage. Arachnid suddenly has a figure on shelves 2 years after the fact, and I wanted a figure of Arachnid so badly after seeing the film. She is literally hogging shelves because it just looks awful. It is just such a poor representation of that character. So Zach and I, right? Zach, most of the voices in that video that people were just watching, that you just watched, we did a pretty long discussion on Transformers 1 that is available on the internet. In fact, I'll drop it in supplemental material. Not that I need to keep giving this guy like free advertising, because we don't know when this episode's going to come out, right? So it is what it is. But I am now, before we go into the lore of Transformers, so that you better understand that part of it, my biggest complaint about the movie is that, Optimus Prime as Orion Pax is something that existed in the original G1 cartoon. That is lifted from existing continuity. That before he was Optimus Prime, leader of the Autobots, he was just a lowly, wage slave on planet Cybertron by the name of Orion Pax. And after he was, attacked, he was reformatted into Optimus Prime. That's all real. B-127, Bumblebee was never a character named B-127. Megatron was never a character known as D-16. It felt a little forced, the friends to enemies thing, lovers to enemies, whatever they were. That is also from existing bits of continuity. The idea that Megatron and Optimus did fight alongside each other until the whole thing. I'm also going to blow your mind. Now that you've finally seen Transformers 1, I can put in our actual podcast the thing that distracted me the entire time I watched this film. And no, it's not that Steve Buscemi is the voice of Starscream. I will take that off the table right now. I do love Steve Buscemi as Starscream, though.
It was a good Buscemi, yeah.
Yeah, he did a good job. The character that bothers me the most is Alita, voiced by Scarlett Johansson, because she is Alita from the beginning. They bend over fucking backwards to make sure that we know that Optimus Prime at this time in his story is Orion Pax. They bend over backwards to create aliases for the bots that would be Megatron and Bumblebee. But they call frickin' Alita from the start. And now, in that same episode where Orion Pax is hurt and reformatted into Optimus Prime, he is there with the bot that would become Alita 1. She's in the same attack, but her name at the time is Ariel. And my biggest complaint about Transformers, I'll say at least in the last 6 years, but it might go back forward, is that she is never referred to as Ariel. In the War for Cybertron, I think it was War for Cybertron, I might be wrong on it. They did a trilogy on Netflix. They did a Netflix trilogy that was, right. I don't remember the first one, but then it was Earth, Rise, and Primal, or something like that. I
remember it not going so well. Was it?
Oh, it didn't go well. So it was Rooster Teeth, I think, was responsible for the creation of it. And I think it led to the death of that company, which is not something that I'm celebrating. But the real reason that people took umbrage with it is that it was an officially licensed Transformers like property, like Hasbro was involved in it, and they didn't use any like union voices on it. Like it was a real, they cut corners everywhere that they could. And the big umbrage part for a lot of the fans was like, why are you using these like unknown people who are not union actors, who some of them do not sound like they've ever voice acted before? It's like this is something that we care about. But in that whole series, like there are moments like Megatron and Optimus knew each other prior to becoming Megatron and Optimus. It's a big part of the story in that. And there are moments where like he refers to Optimus as Orion. Like, and those moments, like they thrill me, but they never refer to Elita 1 as Ariel. And it's like, well, if he was Orion Pax, if you're going to establish that at some point he was Orion Pax, why would, like, there's a moment where, like, Megatron is trying to convince Elita to join the Decepticons. Like, you're fighting a dying war, like, all of this stuff. He's like, Elita, and he says it, like, in that, like, sort of, like, soft way that, like, the villain talks to another character to try to get them to, like, remember the past they have together. And I'm like, you know what really would have been, like heartbreaking is if in that moment he called her Ariel. He referred to her by the name that they were friends under before they became enemies. But no, she's just Elita. She's Elita, and sometimes she's referred to as Elita 1, or sometimes she's just Elita, and they drop the 1 from it. Because she's second in command, right? Optimus Prime is the head of the Autobots. Elita 1 is like make it so number 1 sort of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like,
right.
So that's where the title comes from. And my big problem with Transformers 1 is that she's just Elita 1 the whole time, but everybody else is supposed to be like proto-forms before they become the characters that we know, love, and have bought toys of.
Yeah, it's weird. It's almost like they didn't consider what a sequel or two may look like.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, like, you know, it was an enjoyable, like, cool story about the bots, but, like, I just didn't understand anything about what was, like, at stake or going on. At some point, I thought they were on the run from the police, and then I realized that it was, like, a game. I somehow missed that it was, like, a sport.
Yeah, it was the Velocitron 5000. Velocitron 500, I'm sorry. The annual race that doesn't take place on Cybertron in any established continuity. It takes place on a different planet called Velocitron that is built for racing. Sorry, I'm a big fan of that type of stuff. Like, that's the stuff that I like. So I do know some stuff about Transformers. The last thing I need to say on Transformers 1, right? Because now that you've seen the movie, I want you to understand what I thought was going to happen. Like, they're pretty, like, up in your face about the fact that Orion Pax is going to become Optimus and that D16 is going to become Megatron. I'm like, wouldn't it be fucking crazy? And, like, you think about their motives and the way they're acting until the kind of arbitrary moment where D16 becomes a homicidal fucking maniac. And it's like, a lot of what D16 is preaching sounds like what Optimus Prime preaches. And a lot of what Orion Pax is preaching sounds a lot like what Megatron and the Decepticons preach. It would be fucking incredible if this film were able at the turn to make it so this Orion Pax becomes Megatron and D16 becomes Optimus Prime. Like, that was something that I was rooting for right up until the end.
I mean, because it would have been something different, right? It would have been something that would have established it as interesting.
Yes, right. And now that it's not a beautiful movie, Transformers stories are pretty much always the same sort of thing. But, like, what Megatron was preaching was so Autobot coded. And what Optimus is like, no, we need to give him a second chance. And it's like, no. We do not need to give people like this a second chance. Somebody who like legitimately was disfiguring the entire population of our planet. Like, there needs to be a line in the sand there. Right? And I mean, like, straight up, I stand with D16. That's not true. It's not true what I almost just said, but it's almost true. You know what? I don't know if I count the Blockies figures that I have. I have, Ironhide and Hound from the movie. They're in the studio with me because I got them as Blockies figures. But then, like, I have Optimus Prime, I have Arachnid that way, I have a Sentinel Prime that way. Like, I have a bunch of Blockies. Like, they're sort of like model kits a la Lego minifigures of Transformers. But
right.
The one that I spent like real money on from YOLO Park was a precog D16 figure who like is my shining bit of memorabilia from Transformers 1, because I stand with D16. I legitimately stand with him in so many ways. And like, Orion Pax was the disruptor. He was the problem for so much of the movie. I really did think that he and like what? He's the one who brings the former Cybertronian guard to like attack Sentinel Prime. Like, I'm like, this could really happen. This film could do something really special if Orion Pax is the one who takes the name of Megatron. Like, that'd be awesome. Doesn't happen.
No, that would have been
it
fucking
does
sick.
not happen. And some people have heard me say that, and they have not said that would be fucking sick. They're like, do you just not understand movies? And I'm like, no, I mean, I understood the movie. I was just thinking, you know what would really make this like elevated to a completely like different level would be that turn right there. And now I've said it on the same report.
No way that they would let them play with that shit, though, you know?
No. And that was done very much in-house. Like, Transformers 1 is what killed the entire entertainment wing of Hasbro. Because that's like, Honor Among Thieves, the Dungeons & Dragons movie. Like, that was made in-house as well. Like, they wanted to be Disney, but also we're the ones creating the merchandise directly. And they're just like, because those movies did not perform the way they wanted to, they just sold off the entire thing. So yeah, in addition to the fact that like, we're not going to let you play with these established characters, they themselves were not going to play with their established characters.
Idiots.
Yeah, that's...
They've always been idiots, though. We've talked about that many times.
We've been... Yeah, you know, like, with no need to continue kicking the dead horse that is Hasbro on this show. Okay, so now that we've got it... So you've seen Transformers 1, you don't understand some of the stuff that's going on there.
Well, so like the most that I know, right? The most that I can say that I can declare that I believe is true about this world is that there is a living planet, right? That they all basically come from, and there are good ones and there are bad ones. There are mystical pieces of themselves all over the fucking universe, as far as I can tell, because every single story seems to be about them stumbling on a mystical lost piece of like Cybertron or whatever. And like, so like there's also weirdly some organic life in some stories, but not in all of them.
Very rarely.
That's about the most I know.
Okay, yeah. So on the planet Cybertron, let's go back to the beginning. And in the beginning, there was Primus, the force of all light in the universe, and his brother Unicron, the force for all darkness in the universe.
Okay.
In order to make sure that his brother would not cause any issues, Primus trapped both of them inside of asteroids. They're both trapped inside of like huge chunks of rocks in space. Sort of like Ego, the Living Planet, if we're going to talk Marvel continuity. They're stuck in like basically planets. Their essences are trapped with him. And over the years, Unicron formulates his body into the planet-devouring, Galactus Light that we know from the 1986 movie. And Primus, at the same time, formulates his planet into the planet of Cybertron. And along with the creation of the planet Cybertron, he creates the 13 Primes in order to fight against the misdeeds of his brother. Because he knows that, if he was able to reform his planet the way that he did, then his brother could eventually use his powers to reform his prison as well.
Yeah, I did know that there was some level of I guess old English lore, knighthood and stuff like that to it too, right? I knew that there was basically a round table of knights.
Yeah, so that's it. I mean, so that the original 13, known as the Covenant 13, that is exactly what they were. They were this covenant of primes who were created to represent all aspects of life that would later go on to define the planet of Cybertron, for better or for ill, right? Being a master of light, he understood that in order to understand light, you also need to have some darkness. So that's why there's someone like Liege Maximo, aka the Prime of Lies, who is black-hearted and immoral as a manipulator, using Legion darts, but also just having the skill to convince people to do whatever he wants them to. I don't want to complain. I like it here, but why do we have Liege Maximo?
But just to be clear, he's using this power in order to serve supposedly Prime, right?
To serve Primus, yeah. Primus does create him, but but he exists to be a gray area. He exists so that oh man, we kind of gotta kill this guy. Maybe Legion.
That's a dirty job, but someone's got to do it.
Somebody has to do it, right? So you need that guy. You need that guy in your group. The first Prime created is Prima Prime. I've talked about him before. He is a pure warrior of light and the first person who wielded the Autobot matrix of power. So that's him. Then there's also Solus Prime, who is the first female Cybertronian. And she was the Forge Maker. All those parts of their society that you so cogently mentioned wind up spread across the galaxy, being the catalyst to a lot of the Transformers stories. She made them. She created them.
Yeah.
The third one that I these are in my order of preference, and I'm sure that somebody would have some issue with it, but I feel Prima Prime being the first, he's sort of the archetype of Optimus Prime with the whole till all are one. I mean, Primus's whole thing was till all are one, right? Where we can combine light and darkness, and I guess just sort of have gray in the universe is what his goal ultimately was. I don't really know what he's trying to do. But yeah, so the third one that I think is important is Megatronus. Now, Megatronus Prime, he's the guardian of entropy. His whole thing was he's basically the Grim Reaper, right? He represents death in a lot of ways. His weapon was called the Requiem Blaster. And eventually, Jesus. When Solus Prime dies, Solus Prime is killed, and I don't 100% know how she passes away, but Megatronus is heartbroken at the death of Solus Prime, and that's when he turns against his siblings in a sort of Judas Iscariot, Lucifer, we were built to serve, and I want more than that, right? Solus is dead because we serve this false god of ours. And that is when Megatronus took on the alias of the Fallen, because he is the Fallen Prime. Also, and I don't know if this is still continuity, but the best part about the Fallen, who was primarily a comic book character before appearing in Michael Bay's second film, which actually really feeds into the whole I want to piss off Devon with this thing, because I loved The Fallen. The Fallen was one of my favorite characters. In the Transformers circles I was running with at the time, an inside joke was, is it on fire? Yeah. Then it belongs to the Fallen, because the Fallen's like trait, his defining feature was that he was eternally on fire. Like that was just his thing. Like imagine Ghost Rider's head, but his entire robot body.
Amazing.
That was the Fallen when like I was introduced to him. And because I love the Fallen, like that's and the whole Megatronus of it all, like, you know, that's the thing. So like when you look at something like Transformers 1 and you see that Orion Pax gets the core of Prima, like D16 gets the cog, not the core, the cog of Megatronus eventually. First he gets the cog of, I think he gets Onyx Primes initially in the movie. It's been a while since I've seen the movie, but I do believe he starts with Onyx Primes, because B127, the who would be Bumblebee, gets Micronus Primes. Micronus Prime, he's the conscience of the 13 and the first Minicon, and he is able to link up and enhance the powers of his sibling through the use of his Chimera Stone. That's what Micronus brings to the table, right? Which also,
holy shit. So wait, so this is past the point now. So these guys have now died and now have passed on. So like the first round of knights has like died, and they're now passed on these abilities, their souls, to these other bots.
That is what Transformers are about. Yeah. So the Covenant of Primes were the very first like cybertronians, not even the very first Transformers. The first, only one of the primes had the ability for transformation. That was Amalgamus Prime, like referred to as the Joker of the group. He's got a sense of humor, guys. And he had a transformation cog that allowed him to transform his body. That's why he was amalgamous. And that transformation cog is what would later be used to turn Cybertronians into Transformers, blessing them with the gift of transformation. So these guys that I'm talking about did not possess the ability to transform. That's also
okay. So they're just giant. They're just giant robots. That just happen to be extremely blocky in a way that would be convenient for.
Right. So this whole thing that we're doing, is happening while Hasbro, the current line of Transformers is called Age of the Primes, and their whole goal is to release figures of the 13 Primes. Of which I currently have 5. I have Prima, Solus, Megatronus. Oh, no, I have 6. I'm sorry. Micronus Prime, Amalgamus Prime, and then the one I was saving of the ones that are currently at my house, Onyx Prime, though I did mention him as, I believe that's who D16's transformation cog belonged to before. And he was the first beast robot. He's like a big centaur guy. And he wears the 3-faced triptych match that allows him to see other times, places, souls, and the afterlife. So in addition to being the guy who's like, he's a beast form Cybertronian, he also has like sight beyond sight. That's Onyx Prime.
That's pretty fucking sick.
Yeah, he's a great character. I really do love the character. Those are the 6 that I currently own. The other ones that exist, there's Vector Prime, who was created to control time and space on the planet of Cybertron, and he does that using his blades of time. There's Alpha Trion, who like always kind of felt like the Metatron to me. Like the voice of God, because his whole job is he possesses the quill with which he uses to record the past, present, and future of the planet of Cybertron within the Covenant of Primus. So he is there to record the message of the god and share it with everybody. So, like, kind of the voice of God in not so many ways. There's Alchemist Prime, who is the student of elemental structure in the natural world. He has lenses that allow him to see further and deeper than anyone else. Basically, they tried to make glasses cool for Alchemist Prime. There is, we already mentioned Liege Maximo. There's Nexus Prime. He was the first combiner. So you think of like characters like Devastator. I legitimately cannot think of another combiner's name right now. Bruticus. Haha, I got one. I'm trying to think of the one that the aerial bots transform into. Silverbolt, maybe? No, I think it has a different name. Silverbolt is the name of the like leader of the aerial bots. Superion. His name is Superion. They all gain their...
I can't tell if you're actually naming like robots or if you're just like reading off a fucking betting sheet at the like
right, it's that. No, Superion is... I'm a big fan of Superion. I have his combiner that was released as part of the Age of Primes, because what they're trying to do is that since Nexus Prime is the greatest combiner, once his figure releases, he's supposed to be able to slot into any of the combiners that they have released as part of this subline. Like, that's the whole idea of it. We're not sure how that's going to work. Also, he himself is a combiner. So that's cool. I want to make sure that I've gone through this list properly. Yeah. So the final one, because he's kind of a big deal, is Quintus Prime. He's a daydreamer and perfectionist, and his drive to express his ideas led him to become a scientist. He wields the Ember Stone, which allows him the ability to create life. And Quintus Prime is where the quintessence came from. Like, his first attempt, like, so there's a god who created other fucking life, right? Primus created the 13 primes, and one of those primes is like John Hammond. And then he's like, yeah, I'm going to make my own life. And that and those guys and the quintessence end up becoming a thorn in the side of the Cybertronian race. They're semi-organic.
Quintessent Park.
So yeah, so those are that. And then the one I haven't mentioned is the 13th Prime. And that's because the 13th Prime was not named for a very long time. It's actually something that they play with in Transformers 1, with the fact that Sentinel calls himself a Prime, and everyone has been like gaslit into believing he's a Prime. Because we know there were 13 Primes, but the identity of the 13th Prime was kept a secret. To like... it feels like so that they could have a Deus Ex Machina eventually. But the 13th Prime, come to find out, was Optimus Prime. Optimus Prime was the 13th Prime, and that pissed a lot of people off, because then he goes from being like a reluctant soldier who raises through the ranks to become the leader of the Autobot faction to a preordained prophecy hero, like, who was there at the beginning and who would like return. She's like sort of a Jesus figure in a lot of ways. The way that they like structured him. So
man, there was a reason why I said I wanted you to go Old Testament with it. Yeah, listening to people talk about Transformers is like listening to people doing Bible study. It is like listening to people talking about the idea of creation and the ways in which it is like frowned upon by some factions, and not like it is. For me, it's easy to break these kinds of worlds into things like D&D, right? Or like Skyrim or something. Right? You have all these different races that are all trying to work together. You have your ones that are a little bit more burly. You have your ones that are a little bit smarter. You have your ones that are like, more likely to be fishermen and stuff like that. Like, you can always kind of slap those into any fantasy story, right? About factions and stuff. And so, like, seeing how they kind of make it unique in everyone, it's usually the veneer, right? It's usually what's the art like on top of all of that. And something about Transformers, it is so hard for me to see what everybody else sees, because I look at shots in anything Transformers, and this goes back to the cartoons, and everything looks like a magic eye. Like I'm somehow not able to make out where like certain parts are on bots and bodies, and things are very confusing. And and then in the old ones, like you had cell animation where like some things were moving faster than others, and that would fucking get me. I have never been able to actually watch a Transformers movie or Transformers anything and tell what the fuck is going on.
That's incredible. Like, if I were a scientist, I would want to study this Transformers blindness that you have just presented me with. I would really like to dive into it, because that's kind of crazy, because it's something that I don't know. Like, I had Transformers when I was very young, but I was definitely more of a Ninja Turtles, Ghostbusters kid, right? Transformers, the few that I had, I liked them, but like I had one of Devastator's arms. I had one, because there's two like bulldozers or front loaders that are part of Devastator as a robot, and I had the G2. So that means that instead of being like lime green and purple, he was like construction yellow with purple. They still wanted to get the purple in there. I think it's mostly because all of the accessories were purple, so it was easier to not change the color of that, but like to change the color of the molded plastic. And yeah, so I had that figure, and I loved that figure. I loved messing around with him, transforming him, but I didn't really start purchasing Transformers figures until the Classics line released, like right in 2006, right before the 2007 film came out. They did a line of figures called Classics, and I went hard on that line. I remember the woman that we went to New Jersey with to meet Kevin Smith, she worked at Toys R Us. And that day that they arrived, she called me. She's like, they're putting them out today. And I bought an Astro Train. I wish that I knew that this is where the conversation was going to go, because I'd have him on the desk with me right now. Because that Astro Train, which was kind of my first Transformer as an adult, is still prominently displayed in the Transformers display that I have in my room. He's hanging out with like my Masterpiece Skywarp, in both forms. I have Masterpiece Skywarp in bot form and in his jet form. I'm a big Skywarp fan. That's going to be on the quiz. Who's Devon's favorite Transformer? But yeah, and then Astrobot is just like kind of there. And it's hilarious because he's supposed to be large enough to transport other Decepticons within himself, but he's just a little guy next to like a massive like 1/6 scale Skywarp figure that I have on display. It's fun. It's fun to have that stuff. But like that's when I really got into it. And the reason I got into it was because I was asked to do that role. I was asked to play Energon Prime in Primetime 2. And that's why we had to include that as part of this whole experience, Sejohn, was so that you could understand where I come from. Because my knowledge of Ninja Turtles straight up starts from like the womb. Like I was exposed to Ninja Turtles very early on. The way that I talk about like the pop culture stuff that I care about, my parents, specifically my mother, my father's pop culture obsession, definitely sports. Like he had sports on lock, but my mother very familiar with like comic book information and things like that. My mother has probably forgotten more about comic books than I know. And think about that statement I just made. Like she used to be known at the comic shops. Like she would walk in and it'd be like, Norm! They'd go, Dorothy! And like, here are the books that we think you might like. So like I was raised in that. And Ninja Turtles is definitely like, that's why that's part of my DNA. But because of my friendship with Zach and him asking me to voice Energon Prime, I've collected a lot of Transformers knowledge that I thank you for allowing me to impart upon you in this episode.
Yeah, no, I mean, I appreciate it. And, like, it's not like I don't want to be saying, I don't know, I don't want to yuck anybody's yum is the only way that I can think to say it right now. But, like, that is what I mean, is, like, I'm not sitting here trying to be like, this is so fucking crazy, I don't understand why people like this. There's a lot of things out there that I don't understand, that I understand why people like it, though. Like, and especially because, like I said, some people get so into this aspect of it, the lore aspect of it, and it is insanely deep. And on top of that, vague enough that it could go anywhere and do anything, which is why you're able to do things like the fucking Beast Wars or whatever it is.
Yeah, Beast Wars.
Yeah, Beast Wars. Okay, I was trying to make sure. I was like, wait, was Beast Wars a different thing? No, Beast Wars. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Beast Wars. You want to talk? So one of the reasons why lore is such a big part of Transformers is because Beast Wars, even though it's set in the past of Earth, they are like the 2 generations removed from the Transformers that like everybody knew and loved in the 80s. Like Megatron, the dinosaur Megatron that rules the Predacons in Beast Wars, he chose his name Megatron because he's just the biggest fucking Megatron simp in the universe. He's such a fan of the Decepticon Megatron that, like, he's like, you're all gonna start calling me fucking Megatron now. Right? And Max, and,
It's fucking psychotic. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No. And then, like, the Maximal Eater, Optimal Optimus, that's not his name. The monkey, the gorilla, right? Like, he is also, like, he was named after Optimus Prime. Like, his name is inspired by that. So he's, like, basically living in the shadow of that. And what they find out is that they actually inspired by living in the past, because they go through a time warp that winds them up on prehistoric Earth, which is why there can be like dinosaurs and things that they organically transform into. Like, they have to do that to survive on Earth. Otherwise, like, their bodies would not survive the harsh environment of prehistoric Earth. So that's why they get the alt modes that are organic. And their actions in the past are what inspire the actions of the future. Like, that whole show really introduced lore as a huge part of what Transformers is.
That might be the only real Transformers show that I, like, consistently followed for a while. It had, like, an afternoon slot on, God, what channel
Probably
would it have been on?
Fox.
UPN or some shit?
I know that it was the first one that I watched with any sort of, like, consistency, and even that doesn't seem right. It was on, like, so the school bus when I was in elementary school, when that show was on, came right to my house. So, like, my house, right? Like, the front door opens into the street, the bus would pull up, I'd see it, I'd run out that front door. I would be sitting on the stairs, and freaking Beast Wars would be on the TV, because that's what was on Fox in the morning. So I've seen about, like, the first half of almost every episode of Beast Wars, and nothing more.
Oh man!
Yeah. So that's just the thing that's like part of my story.
The holy trinity, man, is Beast Wars reboot and the Donkey Kong TV show.
I loved the Donkey Kong Country TV show. I did. Reboot is hard to watch. Like, I go back, I can get through episodes of Beast Wars. The real problem is that in Japan,
didn't they do a reboot like film like 10 years ago? Like, I think a Netflix
they did a Netflix reboot, but it was, instead of your computer has a city in it, and when games are dropped in, any like sprites or like data has to reboot so that they become part of the game, and the NPCs, the computer that you're fighting against is legitimately your computer. The reboot cartoon is humans who go into the computer. Like, they it's sort of like Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad in that way. nowhere near as good. Like, I just, not to be rude, but like it to call it reboot,
it's not the same thing.
It felt disingenuous. And that's why you don't really hear about it. And like that's a weird thing. And people complain about it to an absurd level. But the difference between, and I mean, it even works with that like that trilogy of Transformers films that I mentioned. Kingdom was the third one. So it was Earthrise, Kingdom, and I don't remember the first one. I think it might have been War for Cybertron, or whatever. It doesn't matter. But Kingdom was the third one because they went back to the time of Beast Wars. That's what the third season of that Netflix show was. But a lot of the critiques that I hear from people on Netflix shows, and they bring it to an absurd level, is the fact that, like, I wanted to be nostalgic for this, and it's not what I was when I was a kid. Like, that's the complaint. And on some level, I get it, right? Like, something like Reboot, you want it to be the inner workings of my computer. You don't want it to be kids who are going into a computer universe. That's very different from what Reboot was.
Right. Yeah, that's not what I was... Yeah.
Yeah. That's not what I was hoping when you said you were going to reboot. You owe me $1 because I worked that into the conversation. But, like, sincerely, so that whole thing. And then in Japan, Beast Wars gets a whole second season that is animation. Where, like, and that's where you get introduced, like, Leo Convoy, which is the Optimus Prime who's a lion, or Big Convoy, the Optimus Prime whose alt mode is a mammoth. Like, that show's crazy. And, like, only fan dubs of it exist. There's not, like, an official, like, dub of that series. And then, before we get into that Unicron trilogy of Armada, Energon, and Cybertron, they do Robots in Disguise, which, like, legitimately was their first time of the greatest hits of Transformers. Like, it was to bridge the gap between Beast Machines, the American follow-up to Beast Wars, where they returned to find Cybertron taken over by Megatron. And, like, there's no humanity, not humanity is maybe the wrong word. There's no free will left. They've kind of become like the Borg. So the remaining Maximals wage a war to free Cybertron. And people do not like Beast Machines. I don't know. The couple episodes I saw, I liked. So they bridged the gap with Robots in Disguise. That was the 2001 series before leaping into this grand design to do stories about Primus, to do stories about Unicron, to like really grow the universe. And by that time, most of the people who watched Transformers in the 80s were like in their 18 years old. They were adults. They were starting their adulthood period of life. And so watching it and seeing these things that they cared about as children suddenly have like deeper meanings, I think that's where you get lore as such a large cornerstone of the Transformers community. And then say what you will about the Michael Bay films. I think there are two good ones. And honestly, that hurts me a little bit too. Because I really do like...
clang, clang, clang. Wait, what?
No, it's not Revenge of the Fallen. That's not one of the ones I consider one of the two good ones. I think the first one is pretty good at establishing that universe. And then I like Dark of the Moon. Dark of the Moon is the Transformers film I saw multiple times in theaters. And once during the pandemic, we watched it with commercials from start to finish. My father put it on... And there went 4 hours of our life. Because with commercials, that film was 4 hours long.
Oh, dude, it's one of my favorite things. Like, the Transformers movies are on rotation at the bar that I go to that has, like, just, like, all sorts of movies on every different TV. So, like, you know, sometimes it's an old movie on one, and then there's, like, you know, there'll be one TV that's dedicated to sports. But it feels like at least one TV every day is dedicated to a Transformers movie. And I sit there for an hour and a half while I have a couple of drinks and eat dinner with people and, like, and hang out. And that movie is nowhere near over by the time I leave.
No. I just... And that's without commercial interruption, right, Sejohn?
No, actually,
Okay.
there's a few that have the commercials. There's one or two that have the box specials on them. They use
Gotcha.
those for the fights, though.
Understood. I understand. I wasn't sure. But yeah, like that's the thing. So Dark of the Moon, I do like Dark of the Moon. I think some of the things they introduced to it, I like the idea of humans being in league with the Decepticons. But I mean, like those are the two that I like. And I understand a lot of it. But Michael Bay did his research into a community where lore was a big deal. Down to the fact that in The Last Night, Transformers 5, the fifth Transformers film, which we've talked about Zach a lot this episode, he has still not forgiven me for convincing him to come see that movie with me in theaters. Still has not forgiven me. Literally, he can win any argument with like, yeah, but you took me to go see The Last Night in the theaters. And he's right. I did do that.
That's a really weird one with Anthony Hopkins and like making
and
like
Knights and like
some shit.
Excalibur was cybertronian steel. Like, yeah, it's that one. It's also the one where it's revealed that Primus was Cybertron and Earth was Unicron. Which I'm like, that's so fucking weird. And then Zach, right? Zach may be upset that I brought him to The Last Night, but it was nice to have somebody more well-versed in the lore than I there. He's like, actually, that did happen. And so he is referencing existing stuff. This is just a terrible fucking movie, though. And I have to respect the Transformers fandom for that. Is that they can give the respect for the fact that, like, well, they actually nailed something from our fandom. That's awesome. That's just excellent that they did that. But this movie sucks. At the end of the day, this movie still sucks.
Oh, man. Did we
right.
get back to Orson Welles? Did we ever come back to
we
Orson
never
Welles?
talked about Orson Welles, right? That was the beautiful thing. Well, I thought it was going to go deeper on Unicron, but then, like, when I realized, like, Unicron exists, but, like, he's so, like, he's the super devil, right? Megatronus as the Fallen is the devil, right? He is the villainous, like, spawn of Primus, right? And the necessary villain, right? Like, you think about Judas Iscariot, God's whole plan was for Jesus to die on that cross, right? So, like, Judas was just playing his part, right? In God's plan.
Yeah, it's a frequently discussed topic in certain fields, in certain circles, I mean.
Yeah. I mean, if we're going to get religious this episode, let's just rip that Band-Aid off.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
so.
I also think, like, so there's also, like, you have to, you're talking about the idea of there being different devils. Like, that is actually something theologically discussed in a lot of different sects, as it were. SECT is what I said there.
Well, then there's an S at the end of it.
You know, the
Otherwise,
idea
you
of,
just
like,
said
Beelzebub being different than, like, you know, Lucifer being different than the devil being different than, like, there's different stories, different versions, different ways in which that all kind of works in those stories. So it's that's not unheard of, is what I'm saying.
Right. But it is like Unicron is the ancient evil. Unicron is to, like, Transformers as Cthulhu is to our universe. Like, Unicron is an elder evil in terms of, like, gods, right? He would be a titan, not a god in Greek mythology or Greek religion, right? That was their religion. He's an ancient evil where, like, the Fallen is just, like, he's a little bit more recent, right? Cleopatra was not alive at the same time the pyramids were built, right? What fucking ever. Like, Unicron was thousands of years old at the time that Megatronus took his fall, is the thing. And while Unicron is a big bad, right? Like, he's certainly, like, this big bad that in the Unicron trilogy, Primus shows off that he can transform as well, so that the two can battle it out at the end of that. like he's always just sort of waiting in the wings. He's not like this big front and center villain, except for in the 1986 Transformers film, right? Because that was long before, like, the idea of a Primus, a light counterpart, right? The Jacob to his Man in Black. Did the Man in Black ever have a name in Lost? This is the question I legitimately just asked you.
I don't believe so. No, I don't think they ever get. I mean, because I think in a lot of ways, I think he was trying to tie it to King, and like fucking all that shit. So no, I don't think he ever gave him a definitive, or they ever gave him a definitive name.
The Man in Black is he's only ever referred to the Man in Black on a Lostpedia. So Titus Welliver, right? I'm going to start referring to the Man in Black as Hieronymus Bosch. Fuck you, Amazon. I don't know who I'm flipping off here. But yeah, so in that film, Unicron is the big bad. He is this ancient evil, this planet-devouring planet that, like, drifts through space and has the ability to essentially resurrect Megatron into Galvatron and to create Cyclonus and Scourge from discarded Seekers and Insecticons. Like, that's what his power is. And so he's this giant big bad in the movie, and he is voiced by Orson Welles. It is Orson Welles' final role, and my favorite thing about Orson Welles playing Unicron is that he did not try. Like, very famously, he phoned it in, and he still did a fucking great job. And when he was asked about it, he's like, I was a big toy that killed littler toys. Something along that. He was very dismissive of the role.
Orson Welles' frozen penis.
No. Spring Hills Farm, full of penis. Wait, this is terrible. God, I love it. I love Orson Welles. I also love that if we ever get a beat 'em up made in the Say Report, Robot Orson Welles is a boss.
Agreed.
It has to happen, right? And after the fight, like in the cutscene, I break Rosebud over his head. I get that moment, Sejohn.
I mean, we have to stylize him like Unicronian, right? Like,
oh yeah, like he's so. I mean, that full disclosure about what I see in my head when I talk about Robot Orson Welles. He kind of looks like Water Noose from Monsters Incorporated, where it's Orson Welles like on the top and a mechanical spider body at the bottom because of Wild Wild West. And then, upon his head, he wears the Unicronian headdress.
Why? What does he have to do with Wild Wild West? He's not Kenneth Branagh. Is that who you?
No. It's just the fact that, like, that freaking crazy guy in Hollywood who wants giant spiders and everything. The reason.
Oh yeah, that dude.
The reason is to appease Robot Orson Welles. Because he wants to see himself in the films. You will put a giant mechanical spider in Wild Wild West so that I can see myself in the film. Yes, Mr. Welles. Of course, Mr. Welles. Like it's not, he's not inspired by the giant spider. The giant spider is inspired by him. Water Noose in Monsters Incorporated is Pixar's homage to Robot Orson Welles, who is secretly in charge of Hollywood still. In the, like, altered continuity of the Say Report beat 'em up.
And thus, the robot propaganda that has been thrust upon us for 3 decades now.
Well, I mean, let's be honest, though. The robot propaganda is so that Hasbro can sell us toys. And I
don't mean just Transformers. Oh. I'm looking at you, Johnny Five. I'm looking at you. What was the kid's name? Me-Size or whatever her name was? Squirt?
Well, are you talking about
Little
Small Wonder?
That one.
Small Wonder.
Yeah, Little Wonder.
Small Wonder.
Small Wonder.
Dude, like, we never really talk about the fact that guy created a child-sized robot to do housekeeping, right? Like she had a vacuum built inside. I don't
Look, it was the 80s. There was a lot of coke going around. We know some things these days about what was probably happening. I don't know if we'll ever be able to look back.
Yeah, Vicky, right? Voice identicant. Oh shit, I don't remember what the K.
I don't know. I was more of a My Two Dads guy.
That I fucking love the idea that you had the choice between Small Wonder or My Two Dads. We will watch only one of these in the house, son. Choose wisely. Oh man, My Two Dads, aka the progenitor of Mamma Mia. We have fun. We have fun on this show. I have to bring up one more thing about the Transformers and the lore before we wrap this one up and send it off into the vault to be released when we need to release an episode. And that is the Atheist Transformer. I have just sent a comic to you. It is a short packed comic by Dave Willis. And it is like Jetfire is one of my favorite Transformers. Skywarp is number 1. Jetfire is probably number 2. In fact, when we drove down to New Orleans for my 21st birthday, we stopped at an Illinois Walmart, and there had been rumors that Jetfire was on the shelves. At that Illinois Walmart, I found the Transformers Classics Jetfire figure, and he became my traveling companion as I turned 21. I'm not even. I'm proud and unashamed of that fact. I love doing this. But like the idea that he is an atheist who does not believe in God when he like lives on their creator and has witnessed and spoken to him, like over the top in terms of just great fucking character design. I still don't believe it. I still don't believe he's God, right? Like, wake up, sheeple. There's no way our planet is our God. I do. I love Jetfire. I just love it. And that comic, like, really hit me because it was something I always knew about the character, and then Willis put it into just beautiful art. I miss Short Packed every day, Sejohn. I really do. All right. So do you have any more Transformers questions before we finish this one up?
Dude, I hope you don't think that I somehow was going to come away from this suddenly understanding everything.
My friend, if you did, I would be quite disappointed because you need to understand I am not the best messenger for like Transformers lore. In fact,
I think you might be the best messenger for me, though.
I had tried to get Zach to join us on this episode he referred to himself as a Transformers historian. But he had a work event, and I was hoping at that. I'm like, well, if you're home, just let me know on Discord, and I'll add you to our call, my friend. But it didn't work out. So, like, think about that. You know what I love? I love when we create, like, branching moments in our universe.
Sliding doors.
Yes. So, like, you've just listened to the episode that did not feature Zach. If you're in a universe where Zach was on the episode and you've suddenly listened to this episode, Mandela effect. Ooh.
Get rid of the tape. Get rid of the tape.
So yeah, but I mean, is there anything else that you want to make sure we address before this is done? Like something that like you're not going to be able to sleep at night because of something you saw in Transformers 1 or something else that I introduced? Like I just want to give you that opportunity before I launch into the final spiel.
Organic, like
they're techno-organic.
Right? In that,
what do you mean organic?
Techno-organic.
Bots? Like
no. You
like
I
the
think
deers.
You nailed it. Okay.
Yeah. The deer that they see. Yeah, like, there's a lot of Matrix iconography in Transformers 1 with the idea that, like, they live beneath the surface out of fear that the Quintessence will come and, like, snatch them away. It's a little village. It's a little Matrix. It's a little fucking crazy. So when they go up there and there are, like, the techno-organic deer that live on the planet, like, they're alive, but so are the cybertronians. Like, those are just, like, those are probably remnants of, like, Onyx Prime and, like, a conversation with Quintus Prime. Like, could you create some bots that are like me? And he makes beers.
But there is also you talk about in the beginning of the movie. I was talking about there's those guys that are coming in there. They're the ones that are blackmailing Sentinel there.
The Quintessence. Those are the Quintessence.
Those guys. Oh, those are the Quintessence, and those look like there's a little bit of organic going on, right? That I'm not crazy.
No, hold on one second. I was gonna look into the Quintessence more because I thought that they were like the first creation of Primus, and that's why he then needed to create the Covenant of Primes to fight against them. I did not know that it was Covenant of Primes, then the Quintessence. So let's look at the Transformers wiki for the Quintessence and see if they have any, like, organic there. Because when I think of the Quintessence, I think about the five-faced judge that shows up in the movie. And that is, like, almost, it's robotic, but it has, like, tentacles. So, multiple faces, two-faced scientists. They're a race of aliens called Quintessence that existed on the planet-sized factory known as Cybertron. So they had transorganic. So they are a semi-organic race, which is, like, such an interesting thing to say. But there is, like, they are made out of the stuff that we are made out of. They're not just made out of metal, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm gonna type "our Quintessence organic" and break the internet right now.
You're gonna get some bad images, man. You got to make sure that net nanny's on.
Yeah, Quintessence are generally depicted as techno-organic or cyber-biological beings rather than purely organic or purely mechanical.
Wild.
Small squid-like creatures encased in metallic multi-face suits. They're Daleks, right? I guess they're Daleks.
Yeah, or like in the fucking Mass Effect series, they're the fucking Reaper ships and shit like that.
Yeah.
And all right.
So there you go. They appear to be mostly, if not entirely, mechanical, but one theory is that they were once organic beings who slowly added more and more mechanical parts to their bodies.
And drove themselves mad, a la the Borg.
Yeah, so there you go. Cool, yeah, so they do exist, right? And I don't know if in the Transformers 1 continuity they were created by Quintus Prime. Quintus Prime, I'd like to send you a photo of Quintus Prime, actually. The toy probably is what I'm going to send you of. Quintus Transformers. Yeah, that seems good. Let's send that to you. That is what the figure looks like. So he's kind of got, like, gross tentacle legs. He's sort of shaped like a squid, too. His alt mode is not represented. There we go. This will be good. This is from the Transformers Wikipedia. So, yeah. So he kind of... It looks like his, like, desire...
Jesus, spare me a pixel, brother. All right, let me see what I got.
Click on it. It will not get bigger.
No, it's good. I mean, like, I'll be honest. It's actually the kind of thing I don't really think I need to look at much longer.
Yeah, sure.
I like the first one. The first one's fucking rad. That's a badass. Like, I would love to see some representation of that.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, he was the 10th Prime created by Primus to fight against Unicron. So, yeah, that's even one of the craziest things, right? Is that, like, Quintessence are this thorn in their side. Freaking 9 Primes existed before he came along and fucked the pot. Like, I'm bored. Let's create life. Right? All right. So if that's it, I think this is a natural stopping point. We can always readdress the Transformers if we need a time capsule episode. We hope that you enjoyed this one. Again, it was recorded on March 11th of 2026. Just keep that in mind in case, something crazy happened on March 12th, 2026. And you're like, it's weird that they didn't mention this, like, huge shift, right? The biggest thing that happened today, Sejohn, like in my life, I bought one of the new MacBook Neos.
Hell yeah, man. We should talk about that.
Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about it in the show. It's Say Report Mobile. That's what I named it, so that I can do some things. In fact, the next episode that we recorded after this one, I think it was recorded on this computer, so I can put it through its paces as a podcasting machine. So maybe I'm not locked to the studio anymore. This was fun, right? I love it. It's like we're Alpha Trion recording the past, present, and future of the Say Report into the covenant of the Say Report. All right, enough of this. Thank you so much for joining us for this Time Capsule episode of the Say Report. If you would like to keep the conversation going, please join our Discord. Invitations to join are available wherever we are on social media, which as of this recording is Facebook and X, formerly Twitter. Navigate to the bio. You'll find an invitation link. Click accept, and you'll be able to go to the supplemental material and see Primetime 2. And bonus, it's from Zach's channel. If you just type Primetime 2 into YouTube, a lot of people have uploaded it as their own sort of thing. That's what you get for being in the early halcyon days of the internet. You get ripped off. So please watch it on And All the Nerdy Fun so that Zach actually gets the credit for it. That's just a small request from me. If Discord is too scary for you or you're not on social media, you can contact us directly, thesayreport@gmail.com. We can facilitate you with the link if you want to try the Discord, or we can just communicate via email, like it's the halcyon days of the internet. The most important thing to remember if you're going to email us is that if it's for me, Devon Decker, or for him, Sejohn Sarwick, put the first name in the subject line, and we can make sure that it's distributed appropriately so that only the Say Reporter you want to communicate with is communicated with. But please keep in mind that if you write something to Sejohn that he's like, oh my god, I need to talk about this on the show, he's gonna talk about it on the show. Any submissions are open to being discussed as part of an episode of the Say Report. That lawyer who was grabbing his pearls when I'm like, there's a statute of limitations on fraud, hopefully he's now happy because I said that little line of dialogue. All of that said, again, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Say Report. And William, please transform and roll out. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Say Report with your host Devon Decker and Sejohn Sarwick. Please follow the guys on Twitter and Facebook by searching for The Say Report, and you can always subscribe on your podcast channel so this is delivered straight to you and you can enjoy it every week. With apologies to your mother, we'll see you next time.